Thursday, May 10th, 2018, we are looking at the lower level water vapor imagery over North America. Right here, we see that convective vortex from yesterday, and then you see these squall lines behind it, or it's part of the same system, but you look at these rows of storms and water vapor, and this is a weekly occurrence. This isn't just it happens. I mean, they try to change it up to make it like how would you say it? Like the original, like they've got a climatic model and they're trying to reproduce it, but they'll never compete with nature. And you see this low right here getting squeezed out off the coast. Now look at that perfect straight line. They've been keeping this stream of the, I guess you would call it the jet stream. There's you got a polar jet stream and the equator jet stream. But anyways, and then here at the very end, I didn't get a good look at that on another map, but there's a new storm blooming up in western Nebraska at the end there. And I just like documenting all this weather. There's so much always going on, and you can see the manipulation all the time if you pay attention. And people wonder why wouldn't meteorologists be telling us about this? Well, I kind of look at meteorologists like they're coaches. Like, I guarantee you they are making a lot of money, especially certain ones, for telling whoever's got the controllers of how exactly to do this. But that's just an opinion. We'll move right along. We'll look at the visible feed here. And up the mid-Atlantic and the Carolinas, we see some storms brewing up. It rained here pretty hard for like 20 minutes this morning, and then in western Maryland, and then we didn't get much more than that. Now we'll take a closer look at the visible feeds. This is the northeast. Got Maine up here in the top right hand corner, and you can see the plains going through here. Look at this streak at the end right here. You can see the frequency waves on the bottom. Right here in eastern New York, you see a storm getting cooked up. Now here is the South Carolina on up to Virginia and into the Maryland here. And you can just see the shock waves coming off that. Cooking that. Here's a little further north. As you can see, in southeast PA, they're getting hit, central PA. And of course you can see all the, what I call chem bombs, these long wispy trails. Here we have, I believe this is Nebraska. Yeah, this is right where I was talking about. That storm's cooking up right now. This is current time, 7:30 p.m. Eastern. And of course you can see the filth laid by the plains here. We'll move on. This is, where is this? This is Kansas. Is that the Four Corners? Yeah, I believe this is that's Missouri right there. So that's Iowa, Kansas, and then I believe South Dakota that is. Alright, we'll move on. Here is, we'll start at the end here so it shows you. They call it a squall line at sunset, 1 minute, 500M resolution, band 2. And here this is. Straight line of storms rolling right up in Lake Michigan into Indiana. Move on. We'll look at, this is the past 24 hours of NexRad base reflectivity images. Now for the past 3 nights, we've seen this major interference down here in the southeast. That's not solely NexRad operating down there. Now when you see this bloom up, that is NexRad, but then you see these spikes and all that, it's not NexRad. Here's missed current images, and what are we seeing? These storms rolling over the Carolinas, lots of interference signatures. Let's go back. Get a closer look. See if they show up on here. And yes, you can see them. Every time a storm rolls close to the Carolinas, we start getting these interference patterns. Okay. Now, just to show, I stopped some from earlier today. And what, if you could see the whole pattern, it would be a large circle around whatever transmitter that is picking up the interference signal. Now we keep getting this here and today in the southeast, right on the panhandle or close to the panhandle of Florida there. And, well, keep moving on. So, but anyways, I wish I could bring up the map, but I cannot use Jim Lee's climate viewer for some reason. But you have what's called the space fence, okay? And you have these sites at Air Force bases that have what's called a paved pause unit. Now that stands for, if I can find it, what's a phased array radar. Alright, here's a big picture of it. Now they're making upgrades to 12 of these across the country. And I believe they've got probably, well, they might have all of them done by now. But the last I heard was 9 of them. 9 of the 12 are updated. Now this is off of a old, what was called Star Wars back in the 80s. But these are radars too. Okay, they just work a little bit higher up than your NexRad radar, which your NexRad, there's 160 of them across the country. And at the center of all these blue circles is a NexRad. But then you got the space fence helping. You have radars out in the ocean, the SBX-1, X-band radars. You have larger ionosphere heaters, which heat the ionosphere, which is like HAARP, the Arecibo laboratory. There's one in Norway called IceCat. There's all these, they're all the same technology, and they all work on different areas of the atmosphere, if you ask me, in my opinion. And because you can look it up and see all this stuff. Anyways, we'll move on. That one's pretty sloppy. We'll look at the wind maps. And like the other night, I was looking at, because the volcano, it's going off in Hawaii. You can see sulfur. But then, like I said the other night, you can see the line, the paths of sulfur. Now, these from boats, these from planes. I would bet these round ones are from boats, but you know, because these are paths boats or ships or planes would take. I mean, they go land to land. And they're all over the planet and all the oceans. Now, ship tracks. I don't got a picture of that up. But that's about all I want to cover. Here's some flooding, where floods are. Here was something I found interesting. Here's the power outage map. Now, Puerto Rico was on here, and it was, you know, over 500,000 people without power. Now, like 2 weeks later, yeah, red. 2 weeks later, Puerto Rico isn't even on the map. So, out of sight, out of mind. And these are pictures from my sky today. Here was a weird plane. I didn't know what this was. It looked like a helicopter, but it wasn't. But that's my report for the 10th of May, 2018. We'll check back in at a later date.